The fluorescent lights flickered above the empty airport terminal, casting long shadows across the polished floor. At 2 a.m., the world felt hollow, save for the soft hum of a floor buffer in the distance. Maria Delgado, 19, pushed the heavy machine with practiced ease, her hands calloused from years of helping her father Javier keep the airport spotless. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and her eyes, though tired, carried a quiet spark, a dream she'd never dared speak aloud. She wasn't just a janitor's daughter. She was a girl who'd spent her childhood sneaking into the airport's maintenance hangar, studying engines, memorizing manuals, and falling in love with the mechanics of flight. Tonight, though, she was just trying to finish her shift. A sharp, panicked voice cut through the silence. "Please, someone, help." Maria stopped the buffer, her heart lurching. At the far end of the terminal, a woman in a tailored blazer stood beside a private jet, visible through the glass, its sleek frame grounded on the tarmac. The woman's auburn hair was disheveled, her face a mix of frustration and desperation. Maria hesitated. Her job was to clean, not to interfere, but something in the woman's voice tugged at her. She set the buffer aside and jogged over. "Ma'am, you okay?" Maria asked, wiping her hands on her worn jeans. The woman, who looked to be in her early 40s, turned her green eyes wide. "My jet, it's dead. I'm supposed to be in New York by morning for a meeting that could save my company. The pilot says it's a mechanical issue, but no one's here to fix it. I'm stranded." Maria glanced at the jet, a Gulfstream G6, its nose pointed toward the stars it couldn't reach. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. Asterisk, "Stay in your lane, Mia. Don't make trouble." Asterisk, but she couldn't walk away. "I might be able to take a look," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman blinked, skepticism flashing across her face. You're a janitor." Maria's cheeks burned, but she squared her shoulders. "I've been around planes my whole life. My dad's worked here for 20 years. I know a thing or two." She didn't mention the nights she'd spent poring over schematics in their tiny apartment, or the community college course she'd aced in aviation mechanics on a scholarship she'd fought tooth and nail for. The woman hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, do what you can. I'm Carolyn Reed. By the way." Maria followed Carolyn to the jet, where the pilot, a gruff man named Tom, stood scratching his head. "It's the auxiliary power unit," he said. "Won't start. No APU, no flight. Maintenance crews gone for the night." Maria climbed into the jet's rear compartment, her heart racing. The APU was a beast, compact but critical, the heart that powered the jet's systems on the ground. She traced the wiring, her fingers moving with a confidence she didn't feel. The problem was subtle, a corroded connector, barely visible, disrupting the power flow. She'd seen it before, in an old Cessna she'd helped her father's friend fix. "I need a wire brush, some dielectric grease, and a multimeter," she said. Tom raised an eyebrow but fetched the tools from the hangar. Maria worked quickly, her hands steady despite Caroline's anxious pacing outside. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she cleaned the connector, applied the grease, and tested the circuit. When she flipped the switch, the APU hummed to life, a low, triumphant purr. The jet's lights flickered on, and Tom let out a low whistle. "You're a miracle worker," Caroline said, her voice thick with relief. "How did you—" "Just something I picked up," Maria said, brushing off her hands. She wanted to say more, to explain the years of quiet study, the dreams she'd buried under the weight of her family's struggles, but she didn't. Instead, she offered a small smile. "You're good to go." Caroline reached into her purse, pulling out a wad of cash. "Take this. You saved me tonight." Maria shook her head. "I didn't do it for money. Just get to your meeting. Safe travels." Caroline stared, as if seeing Maria for the first time. "What's your name?" "Maria Delgado. I won't forget this. Maria." Caroline's voice was firm, like a promise. Then she boarded the jet, and Maria watched it taxi away, its engines roaring into the night. The next morning, Maria was back at the airport, mopping the concourse. Her father, Javier, worked nearby, his back bent from years of labor. They didn't talk much during shifts. There was too much to do, but she felt his pride in the way he'd nod when she finished a task. Her mother had died when Maria was 6, and it had been just the two of them ever since, scraping by in a one-bedroom apartment near the airport. Javier dreamed of Maria going to college, maybe becoming an engineer, but money was tight, and dreams felt like luxuries. As Maria wrung out the mop, a sleek black car pulled up outside the terminal. Caroline Reed stepped out, her presence commanding, even in the early light. She wasn't alone. 2 men in suits followed, carrying briefcases. Maria froze, her stomach twisting. Had something gone wrong with the jet? Had she made a mistake? "Maria," Carolyn called, striding toward her. Javier looked up confused, as Carolyn stopped in front of them. "I need to talk to you." Maria set the mop against the wall, her hands trembling. "Is everything okay with the jet?" "It's perfect," Caroline said, a smile breaking across her face. "I made it to New York. The meeting went better than I could have hoped, and it's because of you." Maria exhaled, but her confusion deepened. "I'm glad, but why are you here?" Caroline gestured to the men behind her. "These are my lawyers. I own Reed Aviation, a private airline. We've been struggling, bad management, worse finances. But last night, you reminded me what this industrial company's worth. I want you to be part of it." Maria's eyes widened. Javier stepped closer, his brow furrowed. "Part of what?" he asked. Caroline's smile grew. "I looked into you, Maria, your community college records, your scholarship for aviation mechanics, the way you fixed my jet like it was nothing. You're not just a janitor, you're a genius with planes. I want you to join my company, not as a mechanic, but as a partner. I'm restructuring Reed Aviation, and I need someone with your talent and heart. I'm offering you a 10% stake in the company, effective immediately." The words hit Maria like a thunderbolt. A stake in an airline. It was beyond anything she'd ever imagined. Her knees weakened, and Javier grabbed her arm to steady her. "Ms. Reed, I don't know what to say," she stammered. "Say yes," Caroline said, her eyes warm. "You didn't just fix my jet, Maria. You showed me what matters: kindness, skill, doing the right thing without expecting anything in return. That's the kind of person I want running this company with me." Javier's eyes glistened with tears. "Mia, this is your dream." Maria's throat tightened. She thought of her mother, who'd always told her to reach for the stars, and her father, who'd sacrificed everything for her. She thought of the nights spent studying, the weight of feeling like her dreams were out of reach. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "yes." The lawyer stepped forward with paperwork, but Maria barely saw it through her tears. Javier pulled her into a hug, his rough hands gentle. "Your mother would be so proud," he murmured. Over the next few weeks, Maria's life transformed. She moved from the janitorial closet to a corner office at Reed Aviation's headquarters in Atlanta. Caroline mentored her, teaching her the business side of the industry while valuing her technical expertise. Maria threw herself into the work, redesigning maintenance protocols, streamlining operations, and earning the respect of the staff. She insisted on keeping her father on as a facilities manager, not out of pity, but because his work ethic was the foundation of her own. The company's fortunes turned. Maria's innovations cut costs, and Caroline's leadership secured new contracts. Within a year, Reed Aviation was profitable again, its jets crisscrossing the globe. Maria never forgot where she came from. She started a scholarship fund for low-income students pursuing aviation careers, naming it after her mother. At the fund's launch event, she stood beside Caroline and Javier, her voice steady as she spoke to a crowd of employees, investors, and students. "I was just a janitor's daughter," she said, "but someone saw something in me. Not just skill, but heart. That's what makes us humans, seeing the best in each other, lifting each other up. This scholarship isn't just about planes. It's about giving people a chance to soar." The crowd erupted in applause, and Javier, in the front row, wiped his eyes. Caroline squeezed Maria's hand, her own eyes shining. Later, as Maria looked out over the tarmac, watching a Reed Aviation jet climb into the sky, she felt her mother's presence, a quiet warmth in her chest. She wasn't just the janitor's daughter anymore. She was Maria Delgado, partner in an airline, proof that kindness and grit could change the world. The story of Maria's rise spread, first through the airport, then the industry, and soon the nation. Posts on X called her the Jet Whisperer, with users sharing grainy photos of her in her janitor's uniform, juxtaposed with shots of her in a sharp blazer at industry events. From mopping floors to owning the skies, one post read, garnering millions of likes. Her story resonated because it was universal, a reminder that selflessness and hard work could break through any ceiling. Maria didn't chase the spotlight, but it found her, and she used it to amplify her scholarship fund, ensuring others could follow her path in quiet moments. Maria would visit the old hangar, running her fingers over the tools she'd once used. She'd think of her father's sacrifices, her mother's dreams, and Caroline's leap of faith. The jets overhead roared,